just to finally come out here and like stand where the fire started, you can really feel how this land breathes. You know, how the winds blow over the mountains here. And you can turn around and look at the canyon behind us here and see like how Santa Ana winds would have funneled through there and why the fire moved so quickly.
It's beautiful.
This is the dream. They have the ocean view and see whales out there.
You get the sea breeze constantly. The temperature never, I mean, maybe a couple of days a year goes over 80 degrees. I mean, it's fantastic.
It can be paradise and the most beautiful place and hell on earth all in the same package. Southern California's chaparral has a kind of infrequent high severity fire regime, meaning that fires don't happen very often, but when they do, they're driven by extreme weather and they will often burn to the ocean. LA County Fire Department, you know, they're some of the best fire departments in the world. Save the city over and over and over. The only time that they can't save the city is when it's a frickin' like force 4 tornado of fire. Listen to the scanner traffic in the first like hour and a half. The air attack was saying it's going to the ocean. You know, it was clear pretty quickly that that was sure to happen. I hadn't really pictured it, but we're in this kind of a little saddle here on this long ridge, and you can just see how the wind just kind of piled through this notch and why the fire could just accelerate. The wind was already downsloping, it pinched through this notch here, and the fire then ran, and we're just kind of looking straight out towards the ocean through where it ran.
Yeah, we could see right down Temescal Canyon where it pushed.
You can see that by the time it impacted that neighborhood, it was, you know, it wasn't like it just came up the hill in one spot and you could park a fire truck there. It was like half a mile wide when it first impacted the neighborhoods. And so then immediately you had burning structures, lofting embers out into, and you can just see how everything out there beyond that is destroyed from both the push of the fire and all the embers that started fires out ahead of it.
Yeah, it really had enough room where it could get a full head of steam to impact that community in a distributed way, but not so far that, you know, you could really mobilize resources to start doing structure protection or anything like that.
Well, and you can see that in this first half mile, there's no access. There's no place to bring fire engines in.
No place to get an anchor, not even think about getting an anchor point.
So should people be living up here or no?
I mean, who are we to say?
Yeah. Yeah, I'm not saying people shouldn't live up here. I'm just saying that we have opportunities right now to rebuild in a way that is more sensible. We should go forward planning on this happening again.
Not rebuilding with wood fences.
Right. Yeah, take a minute to take a pause. There's a lot of people who've spent entire careers thinking about this stuff. And there's a lot of lessons that have been learned the hard way by a lot of people, and there's a lot of places where people have been burned out more than once. Red flag warnings, they're based on fire hazard, and fire hazard is a function of how dry the fuel is, how hot the temperature is, and how strong the wind is blowing. The whole idea of evacuation planning becomes even more important when you're in a place like we are, with thousands of people that are all going to try to leave at once. It's a total nightmare. If you go outside and it's super hot and windy and the palm trees are bent over, like that tells you that you're in hot, dry conditions. It's a good time to revisit your evacuation plan to make sure you have a go bag.
So we can get another view by going down this road here along that mid slope, and then Skull Rock is right on the other side if you want to.
Okay, yeah, that sounds good.
All right.
I want to take a picture of you, Tim, in front of these
pretty flowers. I'm going to be looking thoughtfully off in the distance.
We're on the hill above the origin of the Palisades fire. We can hear the jackhammers and the backup beepers of them cleaning up burned homes below us here. And it's just, there's so much, we've seen so much in this period of time. I think that's a takeaway for me, is there's a lot of different stories going on here, and to ride through it and kind of just to flow through all those stories and end up here is kind of mind-boggling. We've reached the end of our bike journey, our transect from Altadena to the Palisades. All in all, we rode about 120 miles on bikes. It felt like we'd seen a lot of what we'd come to see. Everyone had heard about the Palisades and Altadena fire, but there'd been many fires that had started during the Santa Ana winds. You only hear about the fires that the firefighters don't put out. Once you've seen the danger hiding in plain sight in LA, you can't unsee it. But we can't just cross our fingers and hope for the best. People in LA speak in hundreds of different tongues, but the land here speaks fire. And that's the one language that everyone here needs to learn how to read.
If you count the Kenneth, the Hearst, the Palisades, Eaton, the one in Hollywood Hills, the one in Burbank that were picked up small, there's probably 10 fires. And the 2 that everybody knows about were the ones that got away. The other 10, nobody ever heard, you never heard of them.
Right.
And we picked, you know, the forces that were here picked them up. So could have been 10 times as bad. That's the thing I think about. I wonder if people that live here feel like they dodged a bullet, because another fire in here would have been just as catastrophic, you know what I mean? Any place that didn't burn in the LA basin on January 7th, man, they need to think about their situation.
Humans have never lived like this before, in this kind of crazy relation to land, and like we're all along for the ride. And
there's no instruction manual.
Yeah, we're just like, we all have to make sense of it. I feel like that I've never given LA a fair shake, and I can see why people love living here.
Yeah, because pretty much like this year-round down here.
It's really nice.
Oh! I've always loved Southern California. It is beautiful country.
Last time I came down here, I cried because I couldn't see the rivers in the concrete. And I got to say that now that I've spent, 4 days in LA, I think LA is awesome. I'm glad that I get a chance to come check it out, and having a great time being here and seeing what this place is all about.
It's always great to hang out with smart people, so hanging out with Denny and Zeke is always a good time. Whether we're on a fire somewhere, those guys are just always thoughtful, and we've developed a pretty good friendship over the years. Tacos! The public really wants information, and they want it in a no BS kind of way. And I think Zeke has really been satisfying that need for a lot of people.
Selfies.
The more people know the 3 major factors of fuels, weather, and topography, the more people realize and are aware of the circumstances that contribute to these kind of incidents. The home hardening and the vegetation management and the evacuation warning. The more people know, the more that they can be prepared, and I think it can only be positive. I don't see any downside to any of that kind of educational effort at all.
The hard part about this is seeing a lot of future loss. There's this foreboding feeling of looking at these beautiful houses and seeing them in ruins already. As scientists, we know that's going to happen. I feel like if people become more fire literate, that they'll push for policies that make more sense. If they understand the limitations of firefighting.
And we feel for homeowners like it's super complex understanding what their wildfire hazard is around them. And it's super complicated to try and figure out how to solve that problem. Terms like defensible space or wildfire home hardening can be intimidating. You shouldn't feel hopeless. There's a lot of people out there that really do want to help you. I think that's kind of one of the biggest things I got out of this trip, is just that I'm really proud to help support someone that wants to make a difference and get information out to people.
Over and over when these fires happen, we see this big surge of interest, and then it fades away. And people on the news like to say, oh, this is an unprecedented disaster. And it's like, well, no, this isn't. If you study these things, the fires that are happening now have happened in these landscapes forever, and there's nothing that humans can do to stop that. And they're as reliable as the tide.
Us as firefighters have kind of learned that we can't really fight our way out of this. We really need property owners, we need business owners, we need neighborhoods, we need communities. In order to solve this problem, we really need to figure out ways for people either to build smarter or retrofit existing homes in order to be able to withstand the hazard that's around them.
You know, I spend a lot of time in Google Earth at the high level, the 5,000 foot view or the jetliner view, but you miss so much at that scale. You know, you really have to come out on the ground to really feel the wind and feel the weather and to like really understand how these things work. So I'm glad, really grateful to my companions here for helping tell these stories, helping us kind of like all process this together.
It was a good time.
Thanks for coming out. It's so nice hanging out with you.
We got to do it again someday.
Yeah, let's, for sure.
All right, guys, I'm out here.
Would you do another one?
Sure.
Followed the lookout for any amount of time, you know that we're really into prescribed burning around here and that I'm a state burn boss. I wanted to tell you about the Firebox. It's a new kind of fire equipment that we've been using on prescribed burns. This is basically a 300 to 500 gallon water tank and fire pump that mounts on the front of a normal heavy duty skid steer. It has an integral dozer blade and hydraulic pump that runs off the machine. So you can pump hose lays, you can pump water, and it's got smooth bore and deck gun mounted fire nozzles that you can use to put out torching trees, cool down burns, or for suppression if we have an escape. I've gotten to work with the Firebox equipment now on several large prescribed burns, and I'm a believer. I'm glad to have a sponsor whose equipment I trust. Thanks, Firebox.